All right, it's Christmas time. I promise I'm going to try to be nice on this one. Uh, got a little rowdy last week. Um, but I love talking about the Christmas story. I love talking about what Christmas really means. But I know that it's easy to get. The Bible is full of so many different stories, and there's so many different characters and so much going on that it's very easy to get uh, focused on individual stories and individual characters and so forth. So what I want to do is kind of go for the 30,000 foot view. Uh, for those of you who don't understand that, the idea is imagine you're in a plane and you're looking out the window at 30,000 feet. You don't see the individual people. You don't see the individual homes and neighborhoods. You don't get a chance to look at the individual stories, but what you do see is entire cities. You see the whole picture, how all the streets and how all the neighborhoods and all that come together, and how it all works as one big is one big system. How all the waterways and all that, just you get what I'm saying. So that's kind of what I want to do in this instance with the Bible itself. So we start with in the beginning, Genesis 1:1. And God creates everything. He creates the heavens, the earth, and all of the plants and animals, and then man creates it all. And he says it is good and it is perfect and it is right. And he likes his creation. And then, very shortly after that, because he gave us free will and gives us the opportunity to choose, and because we are not God, we screw it up. We take this perfect that he gave us and we go, yeah, we're not that bright, and we go off the rails with it. But in the midst of this perfect creation that he makes, he also creates, uh, you know, a a set of angels. He creates a race of people, or not people, but a race of beings uh, in heaven with him, and part of them screw it up and get cast out, and they help us. We see throughout Scripture the devil and Satan, and lots of different names that we give to him. Lucifer, the morning star. Anyway, he helps us to screw up. He comes down and influences us and helps us to mess it up, and he plays a big role. Although I think we give him a lot more credit than he deserves in our mistakes. Anyway, so he comes, he helps us to screw it up. He helps to mess up the world. But when he recruits his crew to screw it up, the reason I'm bringing him up in this is because when he screws it up, then God says, now you are going to have a place for eternity, and that is going to be hell. That place was created not for us, but for the angels that fell, for those beings that messed up and lost their eternal standing in the presence of God. It was never created for us as humans. However, because he gave us free will and we did screw up what he gave us, then we separated ourselves from God and invited ourselves to hell's party, which, don't get me wrong, it's just a turn of phrase. It's not going to be a party. It's not going to be anything that we want to partake in or anywhere that we want to be. But that's what happens. So God creates a perfect system. Two separate, not classes, but two separate uh, races of beings screw it up. The angels and us. And get ourselves not, we have this idea, humans have this idea that if we're bad enough, we end up in hell, but that's not the case. The case is, and it's stated in Romans, we've all screwed up. Sorry, I'm paraphrasing because I lost my words. But we have all failed and fallen short of the glory of God. We have all sinned. We have all separated ourselves from God. Hell is our birthright. We're all on that path. And God saw that. And so he knew that his creation, although we were not meant for hell, and hell was not meant for us, we were all on that path because of sin. Because sin cannot enter heaven, because heaven is perfection. And so we're all inviting ourselves to hell, and we're all going to be there. So what does God do? He invites himself to take our place. Jesus, the Son, says, I'm not willing to not allow for some kind of a way for man to be redeemed. So he steps into our existence, steps into human form, is born in the lowest form of birth that we can imagine, in a manger, in a food trough, in a barn, not even in his hometown because they had to travel somewhere else for a census to be taken, is born in a barn out back of a hotel because there wasn't room for him, and then lives as a human, leaves the perfection. And think about, sorry, I'm really not on it today, but think about a palace. Think about like the most beautiful, amazing palace scene that you can imagine from the best laid out movie or pictures from a magazine or whatever you can think of. The best palace scene that you can imagine, gold and thrones and comfort and all the awesomeness that you can imagine from the best, most lavish, whatever. Heaven puts it to shame. All right? And that's where Jesus was. That's where the Word, before he even had the name Jesus, that's where the Word lived. That's where the Son lived. No human pain, no human suffering, no human anything. He was well above what we are. And he said, I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to go live a life as a tradesman, as a tradesman's son. I'm going to grow up lower to middle class, maybe. I'm going to be human. I'm going to take on the aches and pains and the junk of the human condition. I'm going to go through all of the temptations that humans face. I'm going to do it better than they do it because I'm not going to succumb to the temptations. I'm going to live a perfect life. Then I'm going to go to one of the worst deaths that humans have ever invented. A death so bad that by the time we actually had the medical expertise to study and understand what happened, we had already deemed that death so barbaric that we had put it away. So we couldn't study it in an actual one-on-one medical situation because we wouldn't do it to each other anymore. Death on a cross was so barbaric that by the time we could actually study it medically, we wouldn't even do it to anybody so that we could study what actually happens when you put somebody to death on a cross. Just let that sink in for a minute. That's essentially the story of creation to redemption. God created us. We said we could do it better. We screwed it up. We messed up the plan. It didn't surprise him. He knew it was going to happen. Jesus was always part of the plan because he always knew we were going to do it wrong. But Jesus stepped in and said, I'm going to pay the price for your sin. And the story of Christmas is the beginning of our salvation. That's why Christmas is so special, because that's the day that our salvation showed up on earth. Was it December 25th? Who cares? I don't. Doesn't matter. We as Christians picked a day to commemorate the day Jesus was born. And that's the day we picked. And I don't give a... I said it was going to be nice. It doesn't matter to me if that was the actual day. And it doesn't matter to me if you agree with that day. I don't care. That's the day we picked. That's the day we celebrate the birth of Jesus. And the birth of Jesus marks the beginning of the end of hell's hold on me. And the beginning of the end of hell's hold on you. You don't have to live there anymore. That doesn't have to be your future anymore. Because before Jesus came to earth and lived the life he lived and died the death he died and sacrificed what he sacrificed for us, before that happened, our future was trash. It was garbage. And we all had to face it. But because of what he did, the greatest gift in the world has been given to us. And the only reason for you not to get that gift is your choice. Your choice. And that's the second greatest gift he could give you, is to let you choose to turn it down. And people act like God is the bad guy because he lets you choose to take yourself to hell if you want to. It's pretty selfish. Not on his part, but on ours. Christmas is the beginning of the best gift that mankind has ever received. Maybe we'll dig deeper on something else. I don't have a plan for next week, but I just want you to marinate on that. That is the 30,000 foot view of what Jesus did for us. Love you guys. See you next time.